This video is for David Van Drei and the Voice First AI team. We are trying to recreate his bug around Timesheet Assistant, which is related to not being able to get the API credentials, I think. We're going to get started by opening the GitHub. Once we're there, we will clone by SSH. We'll go into our Voice First AI repo. I'm now going to make a David Van Drei. And now I'm going to clone the repo. Going to change directory into the repo. Now, I believe he did not upload the node modules, which was great, so I will install them. First thing I'm going to do is just run Java run. Now that I've got the server, I'm going to open up the debugger. First thing I'm noticing is when I click load language model, nothing happens. And it looks like there's an unexpected end of JSON inside of our language model. Opening up the language model inside of our code, it looks like we had an unexpected end of input, so now we have added the right punctuation. Load the language model, we now have our launch button. Next time I click launch, I see an error message, not found file, so I'm going to go and get those credentials file. I'm in the Google console and I'm going to download a new key. Taking the key and adding it into our src folder, and then I'm going to rename it what we expect. We're looking for Google Sheets.json. I'm going to copy that, rename this Google Sheets.json. Boom. Next error I see cannot read property departure of undefined. It looks like that's located on line 44. I'm not sure if this is the original code or not, so I'm going to go ahead and check the original code base. That code is included, so what must be happening is the undefined part. So we have something that's undefined, and it looks like rows row -1 dot departure is undefined. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to log rows to see what's there. Console.log rows. Now that I've saved that, I'll crash my server and restart it, and then once the server is rerunning, we head back to our debugger, launch it again, check out our logs. Let's see what we logged. So it looks like our rows is null, so then it makes sense that we got that error of it being null. So let's try adding in some data. I'm going to get his spreadsheet URL by copying it from right here. And then I'm going to go into my spreadsheet and I'm going to change the ID to what we just copied. Hit enter. Here is the spreadsheet that David has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to populate in some data. Second issue I see, this is view only. So I'm going to quickly try to request it from David. I'm going to try to request edit access to see if he gives it to me. And I'll also ping him on Slack to see if he takes it. Now that I have access, I'm able to enter an info. Let's crash the server, restart it, and see what happens. Alright, so this time I got an error converting circular structure to JSON. This makes me think I'm manipulating the rows object incorrectly by trying to console log it. So quickly, I'm going to just make it so that we are logging the departure of row 0 instead of just rows. I'm logging the first row, just like kind of what we're doing here, and I'm getting the departure to try to see what we got. Going to restart the server, see what happens when we launch it again. This time we got our first response. Let's see what it is. Boom, so this time it looks like it got 4 requests, 11, 2, 20, and then 4 requests. The logs look good. It looks like we did get a response. However, in our debugger, I'm not seeing any real response. The reason for that is probably because it's SSML. I'm going to request the catch-all intent, and I'm going to set a parameter. I'm going to make it Cyrano, one of our clients. Save and run. Looks like we got a crash. Okay, so this time the error is the color does not have permission. Now what that generally means is the credentials that you created do not actually have access to the sheet. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to share it, and then you're going to go into the credentials. I'm not going to open it because I'm going to end up uploading this video to YouTube. But there's an attribute in there called client email, client_email. You're going to copy that and then paste it in here. Now I've added that email to the group with editor access. Let's try it again. Boom, so this time when I ran launch and then clock in, it looks like we got a successful response. Let's see if the timesheet changed. Boom, so now we actually have a check-in time on our timesheet. So if I come back here and I launch, and then I do clocking out, boom, boom. So now we have our arrival as well as our departure, and we have a date and a day. So it looks like the sheet is working, at least it is in the debugger, So if there's any issues going on in the Google Assistant, it's something to do with your configuration because it works well locally. Very quickly, just so I can demonstrate, I'm going to show what I would do to add this to a Google Assistant. We'll go to developer.yep, and then we go to the Actions console. Once we're in the Actions console, I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call delete me timesheet because I don't want this here. Yeah, we'll leave it as that. I'm going to make it a custom one. Next. And then we're going to want to do this using the Hello World template. Start building. Now we are inside, so I'll go to the Develop tab. Display name I don't think really matters, but invocation does. Call my webhooks, and this will be launch. We'll save that. Go down to my webhook. I'm going to put in my Jovo webhook. Change fulfillment method to HTTPS endpoint. Paste in my webhook, click save. When I test it, I get an error, and the reason is no matching platform. I think the reason is this app has not yet been upgraded to the latest version of Jovo, which includes conversational actions. Head over to Jovo, the best people in the whole world when it comes to creating voice, the open source kings powered by Jan Koenig and Alex Sweatlow. Going into docs. Actually, I'm going to go into community forum. The forum's a great place to be able to search. Search for Actions Builder, and we see an announcement by Jan. We'll go into this. I'm going to read the tutorial. The tutorial has not been super helpful, so I'm going to go back and go to their template. Template takes me to GitHub. I go into JavaScript, go into SRC, go into app.js. Copy the Google Assistant, import it as a conversation. Replace your Google Assistant up top with that. We are now going to copy this package, and we're going to install it using the Jovo CLI. npm I, paste the name of your package, hit enter, run your server again. I'm still getting an error, and I'm not sure why, so I'm going to just try updating my Jovo packages with Jovo update. Looks like we are kind of out of date with all of them, so I'm going to update them all. Now that that's done, run your Jovo server again and try your test again inside of the Actions console. Well, silly me, it looks like I never saved my change. Looks like there's an issue with jovo.getRoute. Don't know what this is, so I'm going to delete my node folders and reinstall all my node packages. Before I do, I'm going to delete Google Assistant because now we're using Google Assistant conversations. Run npm I. I'm still getting an error, so I'm trying to install a new Google action with the Google conversational. There may be more issues introduced than I thought from what I'm doing with trying to use conversational actions. It might be easier with Dialogflow. Moving forward, you're going to be using conversational actions, so I'm going to show it to you on there. Jovo run. Now that we've got it running, we try again. Let's see, hopefully it should work now. So this time,
Alright, getting the test
looks like now it's working. However, I am getting this weird error, cannot find the route actions intent main in your handler function. And now it looks like we actually get a response. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all the intents over. This is a kind of a long method, but we have my Google action and voice timesheet. First thing I'm going to do is open up the package.json for both of them side by side. So we got one package.json, two package.json. The big thing that we want to grab from this one is the Google spreadsheet, because that is going to help us to be able to actually do our calls to the spreadsheet. I like alphabetical order, so it goes there. That should be the only one we need to grab is the Google spreadsheet. So really quickly copy Google spreadsheet and then go back to your console, Control C, npm I, /save, shift insert, Google spreadsheet. Now that we've got our packages updated, let's go and copy the app.js code that we'll need in order to make this work. So now I need to copy my import of Google spreadsheet as well as the keys and other info. So I'm going to copy over all that. Goes over to my new one, and just right above here. Once we add that, we're going to copy over our launch function. We're honestly just going to copy both the launch and on request functions. Boop, we can overwrite these, and we can also delete these because we don't need them. Save. Then we do need our catch-all intent, which is going to be the actual clocking in and clocking out. Obviously we want our clock in and clock out, and let's copy this first because this is easy and it's all inside of our handlers. Boop, and now that we are outside of our handlers, we're going to copy our getDate function. Now that we've got all this in, let's just see what happens if we launch it using our test console. We'll run Jovo run, head back over to here, and we'll cancel out and then launch. Once we invoke it, what do we get? We're missing the credentials, so make sure you copy your credentials folder from your old SRC into your new one. I got the credentials copied, rerun the server.
Test app.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And it says
This is
welcome.
Sweet.
What are you working on
I'm your
today?
timesheet assistant.
So it all looks to be working
Before you
right.
get started today,
Let's see what
what do you
happens though
work
if we
on?
actually try typing something
give
in.
you a quick answer.
Let's
Where
try,
you
what are we working on
today?
today? Cyrano AI, one of our clients. When I send that in,
That.
sorry I
Can
didn't
you
catch
try
that, can you
again?
try again? Okay, that's not what we want, so let's go back to the develop tab. Looks like for our intent no match, we're sending prompts when in fact we want to call the webhook, and we want to call our catch all intent. Now that I've made that our catch all intent, let's go ahead and crash the server, rerun it, and let's try running that test again. Go back in here to test, talk to my test app,
Before you
put
get started,
Cyrano AI, and now if I run Jovo run, get the project started, go back over to my testing console, talk to my test app. First,
Alright, getting
it'll
the
ask
test
what am
version
I
of my
working on
test
today?
app.
Today I've been working on Cyrano
Welcome.
AI.
got it. You're now clocked
So
in.
it's a success.
You
We
can
see
go
over
ahead and
here
go to
that it's
work,
now
and
logged in a new
whenever you're
role
ready
as
to clock
Cyrano
out, just
AI.
talk to me again by
We'll now
saying,
talk to the test app.
Okay, here's the test version of my test app.
wow.
And today we
Great work.
finished,
Looks like
let's
you're ready to
call
clock out.
it
Before you leave, just one question.
analysis
What was the work
output
you were able to get
lambda.
done?
So when we do that, we should see,
Be any
boom,
longer.
it then added in our
Great
new
work
row
today.
of what I
Talk
did,
to me again
analysis
just by saying
output.
talk
So
to
when you
Sweet
clock in, it'll
Timesheet.
ask what project
Whenever
you're
you're ready
working
to
on for
clock
that
in,
day.
you come back
That'll
to
get
work.
you started, and then
Have a
once
good
you
one.
finish stuff, you'll be able to talk about what you did when you clock out. And that will generate your time in, time out, and your total hours will be calculated automatically. Next step is to deploy your function to AWS Lambda. So you will want to follow this guide for deploying your source code and this guide for following your Google Action deployment. You will, for deploying your backend source code, which is what we have running right here, this is your backend code, we are going to deploy that to AWS Lambda. So just like it talks about here, it's out of the box with Alexa skills, so it works pretty well. For Google Action, you'll also need to set up an API gateway. Should tell you all about it right here in your deployment info. And if you have any questions, let us know in the comments, or if you're on our Voice First team, just send me at sweetsadm. Thanks everybody. If you have any questions, please let me know.